What's up and welcome. This is me, you, and Switch 2. I am me, Tom Tate, and you are you. So we're going to talk about Switch 2. This is the latest and greatest Nintendo Switch 2 news brought to you every Tuesday and Friday in snackable 10-minute episodes. Today is Friday, December 19th. Wow. 7:55 a.m. on the East Coast. I can't believe we're so close to the end of the year. I feel like things are slowing down. So this is my first holiday season hosting this particular podcast. So I'm getting a feel for the seasonality of Switch news and releases. And I appreciate that things are slowing down a little bit. Hopefully we can keep this episode short and get you on to your weekend. Let's just get into it. Let's get started. We'll talk about some new games. First up, I want to talk about my 2025 game of the year, which happens to be a game called Dispatch. So this game was released on PS5 and Steam. I actually played it on Steam Deck, but this is coming to Switch 1 and Switch 2 on January 29th. So it'll be here before you know it, just about a month away. This game was teased and rumored because it showed up on, I think, an Australian eShop listing, but then later in the day they confirmed it. If you haven't seen anything about this, it's from a developer called Ad Hoc Studio. Now, I've seen it listed as a superhero workplace comedy. It's what it's advertised as. And to me, that conjures up like The Office or Parks and Rec. I think it's more like the show or the comic The Boys, if you're familiar with that. But it's definitely a lot tamer. It is not as adult, but this is still very much an adult game. It plays like an old Telltale game. So if you've played like The Walking Dead or The Wolf Among Us, or even like the Back to the Future game, like you'll know what I'm talking about with the Telltale series. You are mostly watching the narrative unfold, but you get to interject your own decisions, your own dialogue choices. You get to participate in QuickTime events. So there is definitely interaction, and what you do has a huge impact on how the story unfolds. So it's really just the story and the characters that shine in this one mostly. There is a mechanic in it where you are dispatching superheroes, and then there's also like a hacking mechanic. So there's these mini games within the games, but I don't know that they're like the full thing. Like it's really all about the narrative here. I was super impressed with the way that it plays out. I was playing the game as it was released, so new episodes were dropping each week, and it really felt like participating in a new favorite show. You know, the anticipation of a new episode, the cliffhangers. I think the experience might be a little different playing it on Switch 2, but it'll still be fantastic. It's $26.99 as a pre-order price, and it'll be $30 regularly after that. You know, I probably put maybe 8 or 9 hours to wrap up the full story, but there's a lot of playability here. So if you want to play it again with different choices, you'll get different outcomes. So keep an eye out for this one. Definitely my game of the year. It was just such a unique gaming experience in a world where all games feel the same. Okay, Final Fantasy VII Remake demo. I mentioned this was out on the last episode. I downloaded this the other night just to gauge performance and see how it looks and plays. It is very, very good in docked. I didn't play handheld, but I'm super impressed. This actually makes me want to try Cyberpunk, which I've also heard looks and plays good. If you're familiar with Final Fantasy VII, you play through the opening scene where you storm the first reactor. You meet the members of Avalanche. You play primarily as Cloud, but there's a little bit of Barrett gameplay in here as well, too. I turned on all of these cheat codes, and I beat this in about 30 minutes. So they also did this nice thing where they mapped a 1.5x fast forward to R2 when cutscenes are playing. So you can kind of zip through some inconsequential cutscenes a little bit faster. I think you can adjust that speed too. These tweaks really make this such a great way for anyone like me who's already played it to revisit the plot beats without going super deep into the game again and doing the full RPG experience. I would recommend that you play this game in that pure state if it's your first play. But if it's not, it's really fun to turn on those God mode cheats and just kind of rip through the game and deal 9,999 damage with every hit. Yuka Replaylay has a demo out if you want to try that before you buy it. It's been years since I played this game, so I might actually dip in and try this one again. We also had some new releases this past week. So on the 16th, TMNT Splintered Fate Nintendo Switch 2 Edition release. This is a roguelike game. It's $12.99 right now. Regularly, it's just over $30, I think. I didn't catch this one when it was first released on Apple Arcade in 2023 and Switch in 2024. I was really focused on Shredder's Revenge, which I loved, but I didn't play this one, but it's out now if you want to check it out. 12/18, that was yesterday. Cast and Chill, Nintendo Switch 2 edition. Cast and Chill, this is the official description from the Nintendo site. It is a laid-back fishing game, fishing without a G, for folks who'd rather wet a line than break a sweat. Whether you're drifting on a lazy lake, poking around a winding river, or dropping lines in salty blue water, this here's a game where you set the pace. So in this game, there are 50 different fish that you can catch. Really nice pixel art. Check this one out. Seems like a cozy, lazy game. $11.24. It'll on sale. It'll regularly be $15. Also, yesterday, A-Train All Aboard Tourism Nintendo Switch 2 edition. This is $66.99. It's a city management simulation, part of a series. We also got System Shock. This is $39.99. This is the remake. So the description here, System Shock is the fully fledged remake of the groundbreaking original from 1994, combining cult gameplay with all new HD visuals, updated controls, an overhauled interface, and all new sounds and music. So this game was already released on PC in May of 2023. Came out on consoles, PS4, PS5, Xbox on May of 2024. Now we're finally getting it on Switch 2. Nintendo Life reviewed this one, giving it a mini review, and it gave it a 5 out of 10, which is a pretty low score for them. They cited poor performance as kind of one of the biggest downsides to this port. So purchase with caution. Nintendo Life also recently reviewed Divinity Original Sin 2's Switch 2 port, with PJ O'Reilly giving that game an 8 out of 10. Not nearly as bad. In other news, next week, the 22nd of December at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, Sega will host a Yakuza Kiwami 3 and Dark Ties Direct on YouTube and Twitch. Sega said this Direct will dive into new features, experiences, and gameplay from the upcoming 2-in-1 title. So if you're excited for more Yakuza, tune into that. Matt Piscatella, an analyst at Circana, posted an interesting stat on Blue Sky the other day. He wrote that 1.6 million units of video game hardware across all platforms sold in the U.S. during November. 1.6 million. So that is the lowest total for a November month since 1995. 1.4 million. So these are units. This isn't dollars spent. So you can't account for inflation and all those things. It's just units. This is crazy. We're definitely entering a weird period, I think, in the video game market. So I'm curious to see if this trend continues. Obviously, this goes beyond just Switch and Switch 2 here. I'll be keeping a close eye on Switch 2 sales in the coming year. I am also anticipating a price increase. So if you need a Switch, want a Switch, Switch 2, you might want to pick it up, because I really do think, again, I have any insider knowledge. I just think that's the way the industry is going. Finally, many outlets reported on some rumors that Nintendo will be producing game cards with smaller storage sizes. Currently, if you want to put your game on a physical cart, you have to pay for a 64 gigabyte cart, no matter how big the game is. So there's word that a 16 and 32 gigabyte cart will eventually be available. I don't think this will impact large AAA games and ports a ton, because they'll still need a larger sized card, and it has already been proven that games just perform better on the internal storage. So Ubisoft and Square Enix have both come out and said this multiple times, right? They want their games on the internal storage because it's the only way they can squeeze the performance out of the game, especially when you're looking at ports like Assassin's Creed or Final Fantasy VII Remake. So I think we're going to continue to see game key cards, but it is really nice, and I don't mind game key cards, but it's really nice if indies and smaller games, if they show up more frequently as physical cards, I'm all for that. All right, that's it for today. I hope that you enjoy the weekend. Get into it. Next week is Christmas week, but the way things shake out, I think I'll be maintaining the same recording cadence. So I'll catch you on Tuesday with a new episode, and then I'll be back the next Friday. As always, I want to thank you so much for your time and your attention. A kind rating or review on your podcast listening app of choice helps me continue to grow the show. That would be the greatest gift. If you want to give me a Christmas gift, that would be the greatest gift, an Apple Podcast review. Sharing with a friend, family member, Discord server, subreddit, or wherever gamers hang out goes even further. So if you're hanging out with your family over the holiday break and you're talking about games and you just want to drop that quick, hey, I've started listening to this Switch 2 news podcast, and it's short and sweet. It's a lot of fun. Check it out. All right. I'm just kidding. Thank you so much for listening. Switch2pod.com for all the things. Much love. Happy holidays. Now go play some games.